every day, I imagine a future where this game didn't get ruined by its add-ons. Now, I may be a couple years late. That doesn't matter. We're in the present. I haven't seen many videos about it anyways. Today, we are talking about Doki Doki Literature Club and its add-on ddlc+. So if you were on YouTube in 2017 when everybody and their mother was playing this game, Doki Doki Literature Club is a visual novel that is actually a horror game. Whenever you first see it, you see cute girls, cute designs, seems like your typical standard dating sim. But if you scroll down to the bottom of the description page on Steam, you would see a warning for graphic content, suicide, self-harm, a bunch of crazy shit that you would not expect. And most people saw this as a joke, and boy were they wrong. The game starts with you as the main character walking to school alone, when suddenly you hear a very enthusiastic voice behind you, which turns out to be your childhood friend Sayori. Sayori's ditzy, she's always late to everything, but that's your girl. And when she joins you on the walk to school, she tells you that she had recently joined a club. You, yourself, being very antisocial, just reading manga and playing games all day, need to join a club. And she basically forces you to join hers. But whenever you get there, surprise, surprise, it's 4 super attractive women, and all of them are conveniently over 18. I still think that's creepy. But anyways, you show up, you're like, oh my god, these girls are so cute. What do? I guess I gotta join the club. And then we introduce the other 3 women, which are Natsuki, a very young-looking tsundere, Yuri, the vice president, tall, brooding, and booby, and then Monica, the club president that's perfect in every single way. But for some reason, she's not an option to date, and the stakes are super high, because the festival for the club is coming next week, so you got a whole week to date these girls and prepare and get ready for the festival. And this gives a perfect excuse to hang out with them one-on-one. Now, unfortunately, whether you accept her confession or not, the next day she does not show up to school. And Monica suspiciously tasks you to go to her house to check on her. You open her door and you see her, hanging out. The main character starts spiraling and the game resets. This time, Sayori doesn't even exist. And anytime she's mentioned, the game glitches the fuck out. And during the second playthrough, you see that everybody's a little bit off. Yuri's a bit more possessive and acting weird around you. Natsuki starts opening up about her awful home life and is starting to snap under pressure. And Monica, well, she's Monica. She's perfect in every way. Nothing to worry about there. Until once again, Yuri confesses her love to you. But no matter what you say or what you do, she takes a stab at it. Okay, I'll stop making the horrible jokes. I'm sorry. And as everything basically goes to shit, Monica shows up perfect as ever, and you realize that she knows this is a game. She has made everybody else way worse and super insane, so you would pick her, and only her. Just Monica. She deletes everything around you until it is just you and her. She actually goes into the game files and deletes everything. So when it's just you and her, you have to go into the actual game files and delete her. Which, by the way, tangent, that is such, I've never seen any other game do that. Like, that is insane. Like, Doki Doki Literature Club and Undertale with all their file messing shit, revolutionary game pieces. And that is why I think PC is better than console, I'm sorry. But then, one more time, the game resets. This time, Sayori's the new club leader and you think everything's fine. Until suddenly Sayori starts realizing that this is also a game. And then Monica, from File Hell, pops up and says, no, not this again. We're not doing this. And the game ends. Now, personally, I love the original game. I didn't go into it too much because this would be a way longer video that I don't think you guys really want. Because this is about ddlc+. Focus. But people, missing their favorite girls, wanted more content. They wanted more. They wanted this cute feeling so they could actually have a happy ending. A bunch of people made mods, people made fan fiction, people made fan art, everything. until Salvato released ddlc Plus, an official add-on. And people got what they wanted. They got a couple short stories showing the girls before the main character was a part of it. Everybody's little individual story on how they got to the club, which was really sweet. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we are talking about the secret files that are hidden in ddlc Plus. Now, since this was meant for consoles as well, instead of having your actual desktop, it had a fake desktop in it. So whenever you were going through the files and you could check everything, you started getting these puzzles, I guess you could say. And in these, we find out that this is some government program simulation inside a simulation, inside Inception, inside your mind. I feel like this kind of ruins the original game in a way, because you're supposed to really feel for these girls, and even the add-ons in this same ddlc Plus is supposed to make you connect more with the characters and get more stories and get more sides with them and be able to really understand the characters better. But then having it in your face, this is simulation, this is real, none of these things matter, it really just breaks immersion and it makes the rest of the game really unenjoyable. And another thing that they do is they keep bringing up Project Libitina, which seems like the game that Dan Salvato actually wants to make, but him and his team are way too afraid to get rid of their baby, the thing that actually like made them money and made them on the map. Which, I mean, I get it, games are fucking expensive to make and you gotta give the people what they want. But this ain't it. I feel like if it was more like the government finds this game and they were trying to talk to Monica, like the part where she goes on Twitter and starts infiltrating it, that part's really interesting because it still makes sense. But I feel like the supernatural or AI aspect of her just suddenly gaining consciousness and nobody knows why is part of the reason why the original game is so interesting. Because you don't know why, you don't know how this happened, you don't know when it happened. Now, with the way that it is, it seems like she's known since the beginning, but this game also could have like added on and given like a switch of like when it happened. But instead, it's just making it off like, I don't know how to explain this properly, but it kind of gives me like creepypasta vibes. Like this seems like it was some kind of like 12-year-old imaginary, like, oh my god, it's the government! They're taking it all! They're in charge! I don't know, I feel like it just, I don't know, it ruined it for me. I'm sorry. Like, do I think it's cute? Yes, of course. Do I like the added-on stories? Yes. But this, having it be an official thing, an official lore, I don't like it. It's a good thought piece. But having that be the actual reason, like that makes the original game unplayable. Like, I haven't played it since ddlc Plus came out, because all I can think is, oh yeah, this is all, it feels like I'm part of like a government tracking thing. Like, you know how you have to like deselect AI fucking scanning all your shit? That's how it makes me feel to play the original game now. And that's another like tough thing about it. Like, again, going back into Project Libitina, I get it. Like, I'm not a game dev myself, but I know how much fucking blood, sweat, and tears has to go into games. And I mean, honestly, this add-on just kind of seems like they're still working really hard on making Project Libitina, which is obviously what Dan Salvato actually wants to make. But still, that need for relevancy and having to appeal to everybody else instead of people just being patient and waiting for the game to come out. You've got to have constant updates, you've got to have constant adds of content. Like, you can't just be a game developer anymore. You have to be an advertiser, you have to be a marketer, you've got to talk to everybody, make emails, like email blasts. Like, that's what Toby Fox is having to do with Deltarune right now, because it is, I think, of five or six chapters, I don't know. But it's a big game. And now, with how far it's having to go, for him to always send like email blasts or have updates, and anytime he says a single word, there's a news line. I really wish that instead of trying to add this onto Project Libitina, he could also make them separate. Because in the original game, there were secret codes and everything that added onto this game. And you don't have to connect to them. It can just be like promo inside of another game to build more hype. Since this was your first game that blew up, of course, since people play it over and over and over, or people are reintroduced to it, you want people to be like, hey, by the way, I have other things. If you want to look at more stuff, please look at them. It makes sense. And I feel like this constant need from people to have everything to be connected is also ruining it. Like, again, with Deltarune, I do believe that they are connected because, obviously, everything's an anagram, same character, same everything. But the fact that I feel like the games that Toby Fox makes in the future, outside of these two games, are always going to have that speculation. They're always going to have this, and they're always going to have that. Sorry, I'm talking about Toby Fox too much. That people can't just let a game be a game and patiently wait. They always have to have more. And I think when it comes to like graphics and this main part of it, which was adding cute stories to it, that's adorable. And adding the ability to use it on console, even better. Like, this used to be a PC exclusive game because you can't erase files anywhere else. It would be like extremely difficult on like a PlayStation or something to have to do that. And I feel like a lot of the fan art and the games and the songs and everything that come out now just kind of politely ignore it. Like, the only person that I saw even play it was MatPat, and he's not even doing theories or anything anymore. I think they did one theory, maybe, and that's it. Like, it did not get the same traction as the original game at all, since I feel like a lot of people didn't even feel the need to look into it. They just saw, oh, it's the re-release for consoles, and then they stopped and didn't look at anything. So I could see the theory part of it also, like, adding on to it, that they had to add something interesting for all of the file explorers from the original game, and also so people like MatPat could make videos, so it would push the game even further. Since I feel like any game that isn't just like a regular cutesy game, and even those, they always have to add like something like hidden, so people have something to talk about. Now, something I will say in praise of the add-on and the whole like simulation thing is that it does make sense to have the extra stories and the add-ons if it is a simulation, because this gives the characters artificial memories to go by, rather than just having them be like, oh, here you go, story, here you go, guess. It makes sense. And I definitely think that getting to see all of the girls interact without the main character in mind is very good for the sake of their own characters. I also find that, in my opinion, horror games as a whole are really falling into like the theory pipeline, where game theory, film theory, everything is huge. But especially with horror games specifically, especially because of how much the FNAF theories and everything blew up, they're always so worried about having something for people to find. Like, we all know the Hello Neighbor escapades. And I think it's gotten better in recent times, but this game was released during the peak of that whole, like, oh, MatPat's gonna, I wonder how MatPat's gonna think of this one. And it kind of makes me feel like people are just, like, lost in the plot. They don't realize that it's not just the game. It's not just about that. It's about gaining popularity and making a living. So a lot of people, I feel like, are adding these just to get more publicity from people talking about it, rather than people talking about the game just for being good. That they have to have some kind of like mystery to unravel and secret things and lore and ARGs that nobody knows about. It gets tiring. Now, this should be the part of the video where I say how I would make my story perfect and how I have such better ideas, but I don't know. I really don't. I feel like it's just gotten so complicated with the story that I don't think there's any way to actually fix it other than just honestly scrapping it entirely and retconning the whole ddlc plus thing as like some trick that Monica tried to do and fixing it, or honestly just not touching the game again and just leaving it as is. It's been over 7 years since the original game came out. And yeah, that's a bit hypocritical coming from me, the person that is literally making this video, talking about it years later. It got its flowers. It was an amazing game. It really changed the horror game genre of it's not everything that it seems, but I think it's time for it to go. That's tough talk for somebody in deleting distance. guys, the video, subscribe, please, get me out of here.